a little bit about the Holy Roman Empire. What does it mean? Why is it important? And again, this is our study on the book of Revelation in the final 7 years before the second coming. All right, so I'm out here in the parking lot. The studio's getting rebuilt, reimagined, updated. So, the Holy Roman Empire. What does that mean? Well, in 800 AD, Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne, the emperor, the new emperor, or the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. So it was a empire, a coalition of pretty much of church and state. It was the political and the spiritual coming together to rule the world, for the objective of ruling the world, right? Because the Romans ruled the world, the Grecians ruled the world, Babylonians, Rome. So when Rome ruled, that's when, towards the end of their reign, the Pope Leo crowned Charlemagne as the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. So that began a political and a spiritual coalition, if you will. Spiritual and political uniting of power. So, again, why is that important? Well, if you remember in the book of Daniel, the prophet Daniel, when King Nebuchadnezzar ruled Babylon, he took captive Israel, and along with Israel captivity, Daniel and the Hebrew children were taken captive. So the thing is that Daniel was taken captive, but what happened? He quickly rose to become one of the king's spiritual advisors. So even in the midst or amongst being taken captive and prisoner, he rose to power, political power, and he became one of the king's spiritual advisors. So King Nebuchadnezzar was having dreams. He kept having a reoccurring dream, but the thing is, when he woke, he's like, I don't remember what that dream was. And it was bothering him because he felt like it was something important, but he couldn't remember. So he called on his spiritual advisors, his sorcerers, his magicians, and he said, I have a problem. I cannot remember, or no, he said, I need to know what this dream means. I'm having it nightly. It's bothering me, and I need to know what it means because I feel like it's something important. And his spiritual advisors came and said, okay, great king, we will interpret your dream for you. Just tell us what the dream is, and we'll call on the spirits and we'll have your interpretation in no time. So King Nebuchadnezzar goes, well, that's the problem. I don't remember what the dream is. Every time I wake up, I forget what I dreamt. But it's bothering me and it's getting to me, and I need to know what this dream is. So his advisors were like, what your dream is? You want us to tell you what? You want us to interpret a dream that you don't know what it is? Bothering me, and I need to know what it means because I feel like it's something important. And his spiritual advisors came and said, okay, great king, we will interpret your dream for you. Just tell us what the dream is, and we'll call on the spirits and we'll have your interpretation in no time. So King Nebuchadnezzar goes, well, that's the problem. I don't remember what the dream is. Every time I wake up, I forget what I dreamt. But it's bothering me and it's getting to me, and I need to know what this dream is. So his advisors were like, well, you don't know what your dream is? You want us to tell you what? You want us to interpret a dream that you don't know what it is? Seriously. Are you kidding me right now? They were saying. So they couldn't do it. And King Nebuchadnezzar said, just as I thought, you guys are all phonies, fakes, you spiritual wackos. I want all my spiritual advisors to be put to death. So the king's helpers or servants got all the spiritual advisors together, went around collecting them, because there was a few of them around town, and amongst them was Daniel. So they came to Daniel's door. Daniel, we need to go. King is wanting all his spiritual advisors to be put to death, so get in the paddy wagon, let's go. Daniel's like, hold on a minute, what is this all about? Why, what's the reason for this? So they explained it to him, and Daniel's response was, I don't know his dream. I can't tell you what his dream means, but I serve a God who knows the thoughts, the heart of man, and I'm sure God will let him know his dream. He will interpret his dream. So Daniel was given that permission. Okay, Daniel. And this is what Daniel did. Now here's another point. My first point was in the midst, and even in the midst of being taken captive, Daniel rose to power. Second point, Daniel was put on the spot, or put himself on the spot. He said, my God knows the thoughts and hearts of man. I'm sure he can have an interpretation to this dream. And what did Daniel do? He said, I need, because remember, they were in captivity. He goes, I need to call on my Hebrew children. Give me Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Or they like to say, the bad vato. He said, I need those guys over here. So he called on them and he said, hey guys, let him know what was happening. And he said, I need you guys to pray with me. I need you guys to fast with me. I need you guys to pray and fast with me. Second point. He called on his brothers to fast and pray with him when Daniel was in a time of need. Because remember, this wasn't just, oh, help me pray and interpret this dream, guys. No, if he didn't interpret this dream, he was going to be put to death. He called on his Hebrew brothers and said, pray and fast with me. How many of us have brothers and sisters in Christ that you can call on in a time of need and say, pray, would you pray and fast with me? Or are we superficial and have acquaintances that say, I'll pray for you, brother, I'm praying, go ahead. You got this, I'll be praying. And you never hear from them again. These people stuck together and they knew who their God was. They fasted and prayed. Think about that. Would you fast? Would I fast and pray if my brother was going through something? Is that a tough question? Are we willing to fast and pray for others today? In these times, in these perilous times, are we willing to fast and pray for each other, or are we just willing to say, I'm praying for you, brother, see you later, and never talk to them again? 6 months later, oh, how did that thing go? You asked me to pray for something. What was it again? So the second point is he had people praying with him. See, Daniel didn't do this by himself. He called on his brothers. And they prayed, they fasted. Daniel slept, he woke up, and he began to explain the dream. So the dream was, he had an image. He said, King, you had an image. You saw an image. This image had a head of gold, breast and arms of silver, loins of bronze, legs of iron, and feet iron mingled with clay. These represents kingdoms. And the stone was rolled down the hill, struck the feet, wiped them out, and the image fell, crumbled to the dust. And he said these images represents 5 kingdoms. But not only 5 kingdoms, but 5 kingdoms that will rule the world. And when this rock comes and wipes them out, all the kingdoms will fall, meaning the kingdom of man are going to fall. When this stone rolls down and cuts off the feet mingled with clay, which was the iron legs were Rome, was a Roman Empire. The feet mingled with clay, the iron mingled with clay was Rome mingled with the spiritual. There's going to be a spiritual aspect mingled in with this Roman kingdom. And that's where we get the Holy Roman Empire. So this Holy Roman Empire will one day have ruled the earth. And when that kingdom is in place, the stone that rolls down and wipes them out is going to be when Jesus returns in the clouds, second coming. He's going to wipe out the Holy Roman Empire, because that Holy Roman Empire there's a spiritual and political aspect that is ruling the earth. And what is that? According to Revelation, the political and spiritual authorities that will be ruling the earth is going to be the false prophet, spiritual, and antichrist political. Then Jesus is going to come down, overthrow the kingdom. All the kingdom of men will fall, and God's kingdom and will rule and reign forever and ever. 1,000 years, then forever and ever. 1,000 years, eternity. New Jerusalem. We went through all this in the past. So the prophecy of Daniel, he was prophesying that Holy Roman Empire, that spiritual and political authority that would rule the earth one day, would be taken out when Jesus comes. All the kingdoms of man will fall and crumble, and God's rule and reign will begin. Prophet Daniel. Oh, another point I wanted to make. So, Daniel prophesied this, right? But where did it start? Where did this prophecy start? Who was it given to? Was it given to Daniel? Why wasn't it just given to Daniel so he could prophesy and record it? This dream was given to King Nebuchadnezzar, the person who took captive Israel, God's chosen people. That's who was given the dream. That's who was given the prophecy. And then Daniel came and interpreted. And when he interpreted, he said, this is what King Nebuchadnezzar said. He said, well, there is a God that understands. There is a God that people can relate to and talk to. So God used that prophecy. God gave that prophecy to an unbeliever in order for the believer to step in and confirm and show signs and wonders. Remember, God says miracles are for the unbeliever, not the believer, the unbeliever. Us believers, we don't live by signs, miracles, and wonders. We live by faith. And with faith, we produce those signs and wonders and miracles. But the unbeliever, they don't know how it happened. It's just a miracle. Wow, that's a miracle. As believers, we can live and walk in the miraculous. So those miracles are for the unbeliever. They're not miracles for us. Although they're miraculous, it's not a miracle like, whoa, where did that come from? With faith, we can move mountains. And faith starts as small as a mustard seed. And it will move mountains, big things, miracles, miraculous. Signs and wonders will follow those who believe. But it started with God talking to an unbeliever, King Nebuchadnezzar. So we have a part to play in this unbelieving world, this anti-Christ spirit that's filling the earth today. We have our part to play. It's not going to be all, how do you say it? It's not going to be all pretty and flowers and sunshine all the time. It's going to be a war. So as we experience and see all the corruption going on, all the evil going on, all the anti-Christ spirit, everything against God, taking God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, taking God out of the schools, taking God out of the school books, taking God out of the prayers. We see that in the political world. All this stuff God will use as the Christians play their part and stand and keep pushing forward, not giving up, not quitting, but keep pushing forward. The kingdom of God suffers violence, but the violent take it by force. So, just wanted to share that with you again, because we are looking at the book of Revelation and how it's relating to the earth today. And we will begin to see more and more of that book unfold before our eyes. So keep fervent, keep strong, keep pushing forward. And as always, look up, because your redemption draweth nigh. God bless.